with Paul George, he like Jay said, he just comes off a little schemy, just his whole attitude, the way he if he loses, he comes off like a bitch. I'm sorry, wrong word. He comes off like an asshole. Just things like that. Just I don't like the guy's character at all. And
And
shit,
I'll tell you, I've been a fan of him since he was on the Pacers. I love Paul George because at peak, Paul George is MVP caliber. Like
yeah,
when he's hot, you you could put him out there with KD, you could put him out there with anybody, and he will it'll be he's gonna give you hell on offense and defense. But when he's not, I've never seen someone have such a high low difference like that. Like it's okay. For instance, we've all seen Klay Thompson get hot, and
crazy.
his hot streak is the hottest ever in the league history. He's better than Steph when he's hot, like because he just don't miss. There's no such thing as miss in his DNA. But he doesn't have a drop off like Paul George. Paul George almost goes from being KD to being Kwame Brown.
Jay, not only that, Joe, not even that too. Like with Clay, he doesn't dribble the ball like a dickhead and lose it multiple times. Like he'll just do simple step backs, shoot the three, make key defensive plays. With Paul George, he barely takes mid ranges and he just does too many dribble moves that he could easily make the game easier for himself. That's the thing I don't like.
That to me
Yeah, Paul,
is
Hmm?
that to me is coaching and his
Yeah.
trainer. Like if and that's I don't get that. Like if you get paid millions of dollars and you do this, like someone should be like, look, man, you're wasting too much effort in your moves. He's smooth, like they say,
Yeah.
but you could be a lot more efficient. And you're about to be 30 years old and you're still, you know, doing excess. You're wasting energy. You're wasting time, and it's allowing other players to be able to defend you that really shouldn't be able to.
Yeah. Playing like he's 6'3".
exactly.
And I'm like,
But
dude, huge.
yeah, Paul George, man, he I never trust players. I know mental health is very big in our world, but I never trust players that have weak mental health because I know it's gonna be tough to drag out in a gritty win. Like I need players. If I'm an athlete, if I'm a star athlete, I need players that I can count on when the going gets tough. I don't know that with Paul George. I don't know if he has that dog in him. He's one
And,
of those players. Everything has to go well for him to ball out.
and it didn't help with the Nuggets because that was a terrible matchup. Who, as soon as Zubac sat down, what, you're going to have Montrezl Harrell try to guard a flopping, talented big man? That's not happening.
Oh, definitely. That's definitely not happening. But let me switch gears. No pun intended. But the Lakers versus the Heat. How do you think it's going to go? I say Lakers in six. What do y'all think?
5.
Uh, I'm leaning Lakers in six. However, I'm not going to sleep on Tyler Hero or some of the other guys having a game and just erupting and making this a 7-game series.
Here, here's why I say 5. It's going to be a competitive 5, but it's going to be 5. Because if Jimmy Butler thinks he's going to perform the way he did with the Celtics, yes, he did great, but like he cannot, you know, just give you a few points here and there. He has to be a guy because LeBron James is not going to make dickhead plays like Marcus Smart did in the fourth or Jason Tatum did in the fourth. He's going to be playing a really talented veteran team. Plus, when AD and Dwight are going to be on the court, who's guarding AD? Kelly Olynyk? Like Bam can't guard two of them.
I think what's going to happen is Miami has gotten away in these playoffs knowing that they can bitch other teams because they're not expecting Miami to come out there and basically like. And I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but they come out there playing like thugs. They come out there like, look, give me all the money in your bag right now. And Giannis wasn't ready for that. Giannis was like, hold on, what are they doing? Hold on. Why they all into us? Why they playing so hard? He wasn't ready for that. The Celtics, they have talent, and talent got them 2 games. But Miami came out there and was just like, nah, we harder than y'all. Y'all pussy. And they just took it. They're not going to be able to do that to AD and LeBron and JaVale and Dwight and Rondo. That's not going to work. So when that's not working, what else does Miami have?
And that's my thing. I told DJ this because we had a video before, for the Boston and Heat series. I knew the Boston didn't have what it takes. I told DJ this, and I said it exactly. Boston's going to turn over the ball foolishly more than they did with Toronto, and they did it exactly what I said. The series was Miami's to lose. They were going to win by 6. I think 5 or 6, and I was right. The difference between Boston and the Lakers is that they have LeBron James, and we saw we saw the LeBron James who from like years ago with Toronto, the way he played that last game, where he took mid-range shots, where he was getting it going. Like if that LeBron James shows up to the series, like I said, it's 5. They'll probably win the first game because LeBron's probably going to do more passing than scoring, and they're going to test it out, see what happens. But it's really hard for me. Maybe they might win 6, but I don't know, man.
I think through grit, they can get a game or 2. I really do. But the stage is going to be too much at the end of the day for Tyler and the rest. They just don't have enough experience, and their game is not complete enough. That's what it's going to come down to, experience and just youth. It's unfortunate, but that's what's going to happen. So, Lakers. It'd be nice to go 7, but Lakers are 6.
Yeah, and like the one thing is that LeBron's not gonna play like Jason Tatum, where Jason Tatum was taking fadeaway jump shots when he didn't need to because it looked like if Jason Tatum was down by 20 shooting Hail Marys all the time. Like I was like, dude, come on. He was letting them off easy. That series was the Boston's they could have won that series. Like it's crazy. They were up every third quarter and they would lose the 4th.
You know what's funny? Watch if the Lakers win this series. Just watch how and see how Kuzma's stands will give him credit for doing the littlest things, even though I'm expecting him to make boneheaded plays just like Danny Green. It's gonna be the funniest thing.
All I need Kuzma to do is just play a little bit of defense and not handle the ball. Like don't dribble more than 4 times, please. Like dribble. No, because every time Kuzma tries to do some crazy assist or look for someone, it's always a turnover.
At this point, I don't even think the Lakers value Kuzma as the 3rd guy. They just went ahead and said, Rondo, you're up. And Rondo's not starting if I'm not mistaken, right? He's coming off the bench, correct?
Yeah.
So, Kuzma has been there longer. He's younger. He's like 25 years old. He's supposed to be this offensive threat, but you can't even be the 3rd guy on a team with a veteran point guard who may not have been better than the point guard that just left and went to New Orleans when it's all said and done. And so I'm trying to think, has Kuzma even had a game with 20-plus points in these playoffs? No. I don't think he has. Maybe he's had one.
No, not the playoffs.
Right. So maybe he'll have that one game and I remember Skip Bayless saying Danny Green in the finals will always give you like one game or 2 games where he gets like 25 or 28 points. And I trust Skip Bayless on Danny Green because he knows him. But, as far as Kuzma, Kuzma might have a game where he gets you 17 or 18 or something, but in that game, LeBron and AD are probably already cooking, so it's just one of those like, they were already doing good, so let me just pour in a couple shots. Nobody cares about me, right? That's basically what I expect from Kuzma. I'm not expecting game changing.
I'm saying this: the AD and LeBron do not need game changers. They just need above average play or average play from their other guys. That's all they need, and they're beating the Heat. The Nuggets are better than the Heat. I think the Nuggets, they were a more finesse team, but they were better than the Heat for me. Like they had better defensive young wings. They had a big center who could like make great passes. They had Jamal Murray who could make some shots. He's a tough shot maker. So I don't. Plus, I like with Bam. I think Bam lets AD off defensively, where AD will probably get more rebounds this series because Bam isn't like Jokic, where he's gonna pull AD out of the out of the rim. He's gonna allow AD to play his type of defense.
I think the strength of Miami is going to be their shooting
Yeah.
and Bam in the high post or off the pick and roll. I think that's going to be their bread and butter. But I don't think they're going to get many shots or efficient shots in the paint. I just don't see them having that player, those players that can go in and transcend, AD plus Dwight or AD plus JaVale. I just don't see it. So, Duncan Robinson will probably light them up. He'll probably have a game 5-7, shooting from three or something like that. Tyler Hero probably gets you a couple games like that too. But I think between the IQ of LeBron and Rondo, I just don't see how they're gonna lose that series. It's just too much IQ for hard work to pay off.
But what also sucks is that their shooting is their worst defense. That's the problem too. If you have Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, they're going to have to give you more than 15 points a game because them on the floor in transition, LeBron is going to eat very well.
Oh, absolutely. LeBron is playing with a desperation and awareness that's beyond his playing year. This is his 17th year, and he's about to play in his 18th year this coming season. He knows the Western Conference will be for the woodshed, and I truly do not believe the Lakers will be the 1 seed next year. I just don't. With the teams that are proving they're going to make moves, it's just hard to predict. Now they can next season, but I'm not banking on it. So I believe the Lakers this championship game are going to go all out because they know if they get this ring, there's no pressure no more. Yes, it would be great to win the ring next season. But if you win it this year, after what all of Laker Nation has been through, the lottery picks, the abysmal season, trust me, this will, take pressure off of LeBron.
And also to say, if Boston would have been the one they played, then I'd have been like, okay, game 6, game 7, probably. But this is a perfect matchup for them. Actually, Boston probably would have been just as easy because AD would be eating with what's his name, Dias and Enes Kanter. Yeah, maybe I should take that back. Shit.
And it's funny because I was arguing about the Celtics and how I thought they were overrated, and they would be overrated playing against the Lakers. They're not experienced enough. Tatum doesn't bring enough of the intangibles in play to where he can win a game for you against the elites. Jaylen Brown, I think, is vastly overrated. And it's funny because I found out Jaylen Brown was the number 3 pick in the draft, and it's like for all the hell that Lonzo gets, I'm like, why isn't Jaylen Brown getting criticized for not averaging 20, 10, and something? Like he plays good defense, but he really isn't a game changer like that to me. Nor is Marcus Smart, and I just really think they're overrated. I think Kimba isn't what they need. I think they need to trade Kimba.
Oh,
Um,
that's bad.
and I think they need another center. But it's funny, they got similar problems to us. I just think the quality of their depth and stuff is better. It's kind of funny. Maybe the Pelicans would be the Celtics of the West if we had Brad Stevens and a bench, But yeah, the Celtics were always overrated to me.
Yeah, they need to like that center. They need to like NBA players hate Boston because the way they treat their players after Isaiah Thomas. So trading Kimba would probably be a bad look. But you're right, Kimba needs to like he brought nothing defensively. His shooting was terrible, and he's like how tall?
6 foot, 5'11", 5'10", somewhere. He's
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
like
You know,
if you're that tall, if you're that like shit, he's taller than me. I'm not that big, but I'm saying like NBA size. You gotta bring something.
if you're gonna be 6 foot, you got to shoot like Steph.
Yeah, or Trey.
Kimba.
And
Yeah,
I don't know
I
about
don't
Trey.
know. Trey Young is sporadic in shooting. I don't know why they put him with that Steph category. Will he make the deep bomb
I
occasionally?
I
Sometimes,
think they
yes.
looked at rookie Steph and they looked at Trey and they were like Trey could get there. Even though I like Trey, I'm really high on Trey, man. But I don't even
Trey
know,
put up 30.
Hmm?
Trey put up 30, and I think 9 or 30 and 8 this year. Like he's
Yeah,
gonna get points, but they're gonna be an inefficient points. Like him pulling up at half court just because he has the range doesn't mean he needs to take
should
that
do it.
shot. Hell, Lonzo shot a higher percentage from three than him. But hey, 3 point
Yeah.
shooter.
I say this. I say that the pieces they added making them. I would be highly disappointed if they don't get to the eighth seed next year. They added some good pieces. Plus, they have cap space.
They got the center from Houston whose name slips me right now. What's his name?
Capella.
Yeah, they got Clepella, and I know they had some injuries. I'm not sure if they're going to get the 8th seed next year because I don't see a team that was already in the playoffs that'll slip off. Maybe Toronto, depending on what happens,
Nah,
because I
Pacers.
have a feeling their roster is going to get picked clean.
Pacers.
But the Pacers, no, I'm still high on the Pacers. I'm still high on the Pacers. But it depends on what they do. It really do depend on what they do.
Yeah, like I said, I would like next year is where I start looking at Trey Young a little differently if he doesn't make the playoffs. In the East, I would forgive him in the West, but the East is different to me.
Yeah.
I predict. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah. It'll be very disappointing if the Atlanta Hawks do not make the playoffs with all day, and it will go back to Trey Young. Is he playing winning basketball?
And
What I see Trey Young playing, he put up the stats, but he should be having his team in the playoffs. He
I
should take better shots.
this year, I can't really like he did his best. I truly do believe, but like John Carter, like John, what's his name? John Collins only playing a certain, being cut, like not being able to play because of a drug test. Um, a few of the good players he had being traded, like it was messy this year. So I can't really blame it. So next year is where I'm like, no, you have to prove it because he has playoff talented players, young players that can make the play.
I don't think they're gonna make it. I don't think they're gonna make it even with all that. I mean, they got Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter and Clint Capella and Zach Collins. I'm sorry, but I'm not sold on that team. I don't think that that's a playoff team in the East or the West, unless DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, and them take a huge leap.
I think Cam Reddish can take the lead.
I just don't see it. I'm not because even healthy, I wasn't thinking like, oh, Atlanta's going to be in running for a playoff. Like I just don't see it. They just like okay, let's go down the list. Are they going to be better than Brooklyn?
No.
Are they going to be better than Orlando?
Mm, mm.
That's a no because you have to think about it. Toronto,
Yeah, no, they're not going to be better.
Indiana, with healthy Victor Oladipo back.
They've been talking about trading Oladipo though, so it's a matter of what they do.
And they still got like the fourth or fifth seed without Oladipo.
Yeah,
You know,
so
and then
no,
we got the Celtics and Miami and Giannis.
no.
Like you gotta for them to get in, one of those teams has to be pushed out. And so I don't see them making a jump to that extent. To like,
Damn, this
okay,
sucks for bad. Damn, the bad East teams really are so bad that they can't even compete with Magic. I'm sorry, the Magic in the West would be like the last seed. I'm just like, you come on. They'd be like, they would. Oh man, the East really needs to like. They need to give all the draft picks to the East for the next 2 years.
Thank you. I agree with that. Adam Silver, man, he need to make that happen. If he allowed the Pelicans to get the first pick last season, he could allow to do that. But
He'll
I
find
gotta
it.
tell you, all this. Sources, Bleacher Report just confirmed that if the Minnesota Timberwolves do not trade the first pick, they're selecting LaMelo.
All right, I'm not shocked about that. I knew they're looking to trade. They're looking to trade. Damn.
Like I always tell y'all, it's checkers, not chess. So that's why LaMelo smartly and his team are interviewing and doing a virtual workout and everything with other teams.
Yeah, like it's a win for Melo because if he performs well, he gets number one. He gets to be a number one pick on a really good team wherever they trade him, if he gets traded. But
they may do a draft day sign and trade or a draft and trade. I could easily see like how Atlanta and Dallas swapped Luca and Trey. I could very easily see that happening. Like, okay, pick Lamelo and you tell us who you want, and we're trading, this person to you as well, or blah blah blah. So we'll see. To me, I honestly don't care about the draft until draft night, and that's because so much stuff is going to possibly happen, especially with cap space and the
yeah,
off season and how all this stuff is going to be handled because it's probably not going to be a summer league this year. So there's going to be a lot of moving pieces. Like you said, Victor Oladipo is probably or possibly going to be traded. Teams are going to look different. I kind of don't care about the draft because some teams value certain things more than we think they should.
man. Indiana with LaMelo. It's crazy. That's why I love this draft. There's so many like things could happen. Like last year was kind of one of those things where everything was kind of set in stone because not because of the talent, but because the top teams were already bad. Like the thing about this year is the Wolves are looking to do something. Getting a wing would be their top priority, should be. And then you have the Warriors that are not as bad as their record is, So it's just crazy. This year is crazy for me, man. And I think people are really high on DiVincenzo. I mean, what's his name? Avaiji or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about.
That Israeli dude. Like they're really high on this Euro guy.
Oh, okay. I don't know who. I've heard the name. I just don't know anything about him.
Yeah, Denny, because he's
You're
a
talking
wing.
about Denny.
Yeah, because they'll trade down and try to get Denny, and they're gonna make a huge mistake because the more I heard news, the more I watch, I'm like, I don't see what everyone else sees. The Luca, he gets compared to Luca, but that's probably because he's a European white guy, so let's just compare him to Luca. But I don't see it.
The only way that guy gets drafted high is if his IQ is elite, he's got shooting, and he's either got athleticism or passing. And like I said, I don't know who he is. Like I haven't looked at tape or like cared enough about him to want to go view him. So
I'll tell
I
you
can't
this.
say.
He's a master of none, but he's good at everything.
So Frank Ntilikina, basically. Okay.
I wouldn't insult him like that.
I mean, that's basically what Frank was. Frank was
Yeah.
a master of none, but he could do a little of everything. So,
Yeah.
like, until I see him, like, you gotta have one absurd or overpowered trait.
Yeah.
Like, what is his overpowered trait? Like, the thing with Luca was his passing,
Yeah.
but come to find out, he can shoot, and he
Yeah.
got the IQ. He's
Yeah.
a generational thinker. It's like Magic in that vein. Passer too. So, if you're gonna be one of these guys, you gotta have some trait that sets you apart from everybody else.
Which is
That's
which
what
yeah.
that's kind of what got Lonzo the second pick too, because he's a passer. There was always questions about everything else, but it's like, hey, he might be Magic Johnson passing or Jason Kidd. So.
Yeah. And you know what? That's true. That's why I think people see this draft as not amazing because there's no obvious big tier of what they have. And like it's interesting to me. Like you said, it's not interesting to you, but it's interesting to me because this draft is basically going to be a draft of fit. And as much as like no matter what LaMelo does, Golden State is not looking to get him no matter what. I already know this. They preached it, and I know it's not just because of talent. Like
I disagree. I disagree. I think I think he's trade fodder for them. I could so see them say, "Hey, look, we'll give you LaMelo and Andrew Wiggins for Giannis," or any of these other teams will be like, "Hey, we got LaMelo Ball. What do you
But
want to
that's
give?"
what I'm saying though. Like I know Golden State will like to make him trade fodder, but they do not want him. And it's not because, like I said, because I think Golden State has a record of being shitty at drafting players. So I think their mindset is, oh, we're really we're ring ready. And I don't think their scouts are terrible. So I think they're looking at his shooting and they're probably like, no, let's not take him.
But if they take LaMelo, their thing is, okay, Steph and the rest are getting older. We're going to groom him along, and then when they're no longer capable, he will be the head of the franchise going forward. And by then, within that time frame, they'll be like, okay, well, look, Lonzo in one offseason went from this to this shooting. What could we do with LaMelo if we got 2 or 3 years to prep him? So the worst case scenario is, okay, we got our head of the franchise going forward. We know we've got talent, and if we need to, we can play him right now. Best case scenario, we could change him out for Ben Simmons, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and now we can still have a franchise player, but we can win now with Steph and Clay.
And not only that, like a team trading up to get LaMelo would probably also be thinking if LaMelo pops, we could also probably get a lower contract on Lonzo. Like that's how they probably be thinking, because then they know that they want to play with each other, and Lonzo's going to be a free agent next year, so they might consider it to get a defensive point guard who could come off the bench or someone that could be worth something. It's a lot of things, man. It's interesting to me, just the LaMelo part, like just alone.
I think a lot of that also depends on if they want to validate LeVar, because at the end of the day, the last thing they want to say is, "Oh my God, LeVar was right. Those three Ball brothers together on the same team, he was right." After all this shit they talked for years, the
And
last thing they want to do is sit there and give that black man credit.
yeah, that's why Golden State is like the most hated. Like they do not like LeVar is like when it comes to LeVar as a factor, I don't think a lot of teams would be bothered with LeVar except for Golden State. They have already shown that they hate that dude, that they don't like that family. They have said it multiple times in their writing to the point where I'm like, okay, shut the fuck up, we get it. Like DJ even has to write like sometimes like, okay, we get it. Like every time I
Yeah,
shit.
man. Always gotta let these shines know. We get that you do dislike his father and his family, but why do you need to bring up LaMelo's name in that way for clickbait and clout chasing? It's really pathetic. And the Golden State Warriors are going to pay for not drafting him because they're thinking about right now, not the future. If they draft LaMelo, they have another decade of success to build on. Someone they
And they
can
have
groom.
and they have a bench player who could, make the bench not suck completely.
Facts.
Like I don't get why. I mean, they don't see it, but I'm like him with Eric Pascal coming off the bench is something I want to see. Not fucking Jordan Poole. I'm sorry. We got to do better. Golden State. You haven't drafted well for how many years? Ever since Jerry West left. So don't make yourself seem like you're legendary.
I think it's funny too. You know, what ESPN they banned LeVar because of the whole Molly Karam thing. But whenever they want clickbait, they don't use LeVar. They use Lonzo now. Even if he's in a segment for like not even a minute, it could be 30 seconds. They'll put his face on a caption and mention something about him, and they will barely talk about him just to get people to watch the video.
Right?
Or,
Oh man, I hate that shit. Especially when they did that with him and Fox. Like they were talking about like trades that had nothing to do with him. Then they brought up Lonzo. Well, Lonzo. I was like, what? What? And it would be weird because it'd be like 10 seconds of them bringing up Lonzo.
but they know that Ball family is easy marketing, and even though they're not going to use LeVar because of the whole Molly thing, they're like, oh, well, we can use his sons, and they're not going to say anything. So why not? Let's just throw Lonzo's picture here on YouTube on ESPN, and then people will be like, oh, they're going to talk about Lonzo. Let's see what they got to say.
Yeah.
Oh, and Lonzo was seen working out. And in other news, LeBron James in
Yeah.
Savannah and Mark Jackson, had a meeting of the mind.
And DJ, this is something I have to get off my chest because I'm getting annoyed about it. Is people comparing LaMelo's game to Lonzo's game. That is getting so fucking annoying. They don't even play alike.
Oh
We got to
man.
stop doing it just because they are Ball brothers. And this people like KOC, they have these the Ringer seems to keep doing it. Everyone's yeah, him and Lonzo have the same game. No, they fucking don't. Stop.
Lonzo is a superior passer and probably just 3-point shooter than LaMelo will be. And he'd probably be the overall, more balanced player. But LaMelo's a combo guard. He can play off ball, on ball. He can pass. He can score. Lonzo can't do those things. And I think Lonzo won't be as good as Melo is in the half court, but there's no way Melo will be better than him in the full court.
I think this. I think Lonzo will be overall his career will be more efficient, but he won't be praised as much if LaMelo hits, because LaMelo does things like behind the back dribbles, spin moves that just like, and then a spin move into a mid range. He has this fast reaction that I don't notice with Lonzo Ball, but like Lonzo Ball's game is steady. It's it's very like setting the table. It's not score first. It's just a certain mentality. They have two different mentalities that work.
I'm gonna say it this way, and it's gonna be very offensive to some people, but I gotta say it. Melo play like a nigga, and Lonzo play like a white boy. Like that's the way they look at it. They're gonna say because Melo got that street ball to him, he got that rah rah, and they're gonna say Lonzo, he play like a Luca. He's smart. He's got an IQ. He's not gonna rock the boat. He's gonna fit in. He's gonna do what he has to do. LaMelo, like, give me the goddamn ball, get out the way. That's how they're going to view them. And you could tell because of how they're already starting to market and plot them opposed to each other.
And not only, and I agree with that, but like when I watched Lonzo's tape, like in UCLA, to try to see if, am I being biased to why I think LaMelo is better? Is this just because LaMelo's the new guy? So I watched like the UCLA tape, and Lonzo always played very prepared, let his teammates get the buckets. He didn't try to overscore. But LaMelo, even when their field goal percent, like how many times they tried to shoot, LaMelo took twice as many shots as Lonzo did. And that alone tells me who they are. Like, LaMelo is going to try to take over the fourth. Lonzo is going to take some step back shots. That's his clutch move. Take some threes. But LaMelo, especially in the later in the season, he was going for like mid range, for floaters, for like there would be a whole fourth. I think it was against the Kings where he didn't take 1 3, even though they lost the game. He was clutch, I think, at the third. And that was bullshit foul calls they were calling on him.
And one thing LaMelo developed, I don't know, I know you've seen it, Gibson. He added more tricks in his bag. I saw him doing I forgot. I think it was what's that team? That orange team, Canes. The Canes. That team. He did a fadeaway.
Yeah.
He was matched up on a smaller guard and he did a fadeaway. I was like, he's adding moves every single game, and that's what excites me about LaMelo. LaMelo, mentality-wise, is the closest to his father. Literally.
I think that and this is the thing, like Lonzo has a better chance of being a good, valuable basketball player than LaMelo, but LaMelo has a better chance of being a all-star. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but I think that's mainly because LaMelo just kind of sticks out at you. And Lonzo is kind of subtle. For you to get Lonzo's value, you have to go back and watch the tape to see all the little bit of things that he does that elevate and are valuable to a team. LaMelo, you just straight out see it. He just sticks out. When you see him, you're like, that guy can play.
But that's my thing, though.
You see the attitude. You see the presence. Lonzo is more like I said, he's the glue guy. He's going to fill in where it's necessary. Whatever the team needs, that's where he's going to stick. That's where he's going to stick out at. If you go back and you look at those UCLA games, when they needed the clutch buckets, when they needed someone to take over the game, Lonzo would be that guy. Yeah. But that's what the team needed. If the team was working well and doing certain other things, he would feel it. If they needed defense, he'd go make the defensive plays. But it's not going to be the same way it is every night with him. LaMelo is just going to straight up, I'm taking this. And that is what leaps out at you when you look at Melo versus Lonzo. If you're going to value Lonzo, you have to look at the tape closely to see the little nuanced things he does for his team that don't show up in the box score, that don't get appreciated, but make great, tangible, and intangible playoff basketball.
But that's my thing, Jay. That's why I agree with you. I don't think most NBA fans value intangibles like they should. And with LaMelo, like I honestly think LaMelo's not going to be as much of a winning player as Lonzo was in his first year. Because Lonzo was a winning player. He got injured a lot, but he was a really beneficial player their first year, even with his poor shooting. I think LaMelo's highlight ability, all the things he gives, is going to change the way people look at him, even if he doesn't have intangibles like Lonzo does.
And that goes back to what I was saying. I think in one of my videos and on here, it was like, unless like a lot of people that talk basketball online don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They value certain things in basketball and don't look at other stuff. How many points he got? He got 34, but he took 34 shots to get it. He got 34 points though. That's what it is. Most people can't tell you what a floppy set looks like or how to run horns. They don't know the little nuanced things in the game. They don't know how to properly set picks. They don't know positioning, technique. They can't see the value in somebody like Lonzo like that. That's where Greg Popovich in his prime with Tim Duncan, they got a lot of value. And a lot of people hated the Spurs because it's like it's boring basketball. But it's really technical. It's really hard to digest. But if you understand the game, you appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the value or the difference between those two will always be. LaMelo appeals to the viewership. Lonzo appeals to those who like the technical aspects of the game. That's where they're going to have differences. So yes, LaMelo numbers may pop out and be phenomenal to look at, and Lonzo is going to have some of that too, but it's just not going to be as pretty looking.
Like that. That's why I think in this draft, with the ability, like Lonzo would be seen as like a Tyler Halliburton, like as a guy where he's a safe pick. He's a safe pick that you know you're gonna get something if you need him. That I see, like if he were in this draft, Golden State would trade down to get Lonzo Ball. They wouldn't, like Lonzo Ball is the type of player I think they wish they could get in this draft.
They would play Lonzo off the bench.
Huh?
Like they would play Lonzo off the bench and they would love it. And I would tell you how they would stagger their rotations too. They would pull Clay out first, and then they would pull Lonzo. They would pull Steph and have Lonzo take his place, and then they bring Clay in, and later on with Lonzo to take advantage of it. But that's exactly what it is. And they probably would close games with Lonzo too because of Lonzo's intangibles and the other little things.
That's why I think this draft is the way it is, because a lot of the top teams that are in the lottery want that type of player, the safe player, not that might be the best player, but the safe, he can give me what I need right here. LaMelo is a player where he is going to be a highlight tape. He's going to be an offensive winner. I don't know if he's going to be great defensively the first year. I don't know if he's going to be an amazing shooter the first year. But he's going to be that guy where I'm like, oh shit, I gotta watch LaMelo Ball, man. So,
yeah, LaMelo Ball is transcendent, man. I just have so much faith in him, just to see his growth. He's been through a lot. Every year he had to sacrifice and had to do things that probably he didn't want to do, like the Lithuania situation.
oh man,
because of Jello stealing and it led to that. He didn't want to do that, but he did it anyway. And LaMelo has been through so much. People don't realize. They think that he was given everything. I mean, he played in situations that were tough on him. And for him to come out of that it's remarkable.
DJ, I hated that Lithuania situation. That could have been better than what it was. People who use Lithuania as a way to criticize him can shut the fuck up because they didn't watch the games. That was one of the worst things to watch. Like, yes, he was terrible his first game because he didn't have any understanding of what the team is. They didn't really practice together. There was already drama about their point guard, who was the son of the coach, who wanted minutes over this other guy. They bring in Brotha to play over LaMelo, who was terrible for them. And then they failed to realize that the center, the black guy, I forgot his name, who was playing with LaMelo, was a good matchup with, like, good player to play with LaMelo to take advantage of, and they didn't even take that into consideration. They were so hard-headed. And even after the Zalgiris win, they didn't even consider him. Like, it was one of those things where I'm not going to use LaMelo's bad games, Lithuania, and you're right, DJ. It was just, he went through so much. No one tries to bring up the JBA USA thing. Like, I understand if you discount JBA, the league, but when he went out, there was a lot of teams that would beat the shit out of high school teams that LaMelo played. It's just crazy. You're right. There's a lot of things he went through.
And I gotta point this out, man. You guys are gonna like this quote because LaMelo's doing a media tour right now, and LaMelo said that he's gotten taller, he's become more aggressive, attacks the rim more, and when he was younger and shorter, he relied on shooting too much. That's music to my ears, right there.
You know
That's
what?
what LaMelo just said.
It made me realize he's aware of his shooting problem. Like him saying that he's gonna attack the rim, and he relied on shooting too much. Those are the only two things I got. The taller, stronger shit. That's everyone's gonna say that. But the two things I caught from that was attacking the rim, and he realized he relied on shooting too much.
A lot of that has to do with JJ, I think, being in his ear.
Yep.
because that's the one benefit that Melo has that Lonzo never had. Lonzo never had that guy, that veteran presence who has the experience and knows what it takes. LaMelo is basically getting the experiences of Jello, Lonzo, and JJ all at once. So he's farther ahead than they are. And Lonzo has been coaching them up and telling them, hey, look, the league is a different animal. This don't wait like I did when it came to certain things. Go ahead and take advantage of this stuff. And we're not talking about just like Puma. We're talking about the game itself. Go ahead and work on your in-between game. Go ahead and work on your mid-range. Go ahead and work on finishing at the rim because that'll be more valuable for you to in the get-go to get your money and stuff. And you got time to work on the shooting and get better at it. And it wouldn't surprise me if LaMelo comes out there as averaging 16, 17, and like 8 and 6. And people are going to be like, what the hell?
I'm telling you, I see LaMelo averaging 16 points, probably 8 to 10 assists. I know that sounds like a lot. Like 4 rebounds. I don't think he's going to be a rebound guy. Probably 31% from the 3-point line and field goal like close to 50.
If LaMelo Ball is attacking the basket, like, he's good at that, making floaters and his mid-range and all those, but he's shooting 31%, I could live with that.
Yeah, 31% from the 3 is something I could live. Like with Lonzo, I can't live with that because he's a spot-up shooter. That's kind of his thing. But with LaMelo, 32, 31, 33. It can't be lower than 31. That's just bad. But, like, if he can come off as a threat with the volume he takes, that allows for his actual talent in passing to be more of a pick-and-roll threat.
Yeah, I think LaMelo, and this goes back to that conversation earlier. I think it depends heavily on what team he goes to and the coach he plays for.
Yep.
Because whoever gets in his ear, if he goes to the Knicks, obviously he's going to get the keys to the offense. But depending on the team he goes to and what the weapons he has will elevate his gameplay overall. Some of the teams we mentioned, like Toronto with Nick Nurse, they're going to take advantage of what he does well. And he's going to take a lot of pressure off Pascal Siakam. If he was in Orlando, they got Terrence Ross, obviously Isaac, and the rest of those guys. Vujacic, who can shoot threes as a stretch five.
Great role partner.
The weapons he has is going to determine, I think, his percentages his first year in the league. You give him no weapons, he's going to shoot very bad percentages. You're going to see the glimpses of it, but it's not going to just sit there and take you, to the promised land. But if you get him on a team with some talent there already, and he got some stuff to work with, he'll be just fine. Especially if he's 6'8".
Jay.
Okay, go ahead.
Jay, I'll put it like this, and I'm not trying to cut you off. I want to add on to this. If he's on the Warriors or the Suns, I'm cool with that, and he will have a lot of talent around him to do his thing. That's only if he's on those teams, but it's best for him to be in the East so he could do his thing and he could ball out. Now, if he's on the Knicks, they better make some moves. They better get Chris Paul and they better get Gallinari. I'm saying that right now for shooting. And then if he's on the Hornets, I know people scoff it off, lower market. The Hornets have shooting. They have Devontae Graham, who shoots 43%, and they got wings. They just don't have that guy. They don't have a face.
Yeah. And they have a guard who could play off ball. They would have to figure out a way to get rid of Terry Rozier. They have to figure out a way to get rid of him. I'm sorry. It's Terry Rozier, as much as people like him, he's like the comments he said, I don't think he'd be willing to be a 6-man.
I think Terry thinks of himself as the perennial all-star kind of player. He's a starter in his eyes. And it's funny because Charlotte was one of those teams where I'm like, I wonder how that would work. You know, given that organization and some of the stuff that they have going on and everything. But who Terry just got that contract. Is there a team that needs Terry Rozier's talents? Like, what exactly does he do well that a team is like, we could use him?
Well, if he's a willing six man, he would be really valuable. Like, he's a bucket getter. He's not a great playmaker, so yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, that's where I think the issue is because like I haven't paid attention to Charlotte, so I'm not sure of what Terry Rozier is capable of right now. But I just don't think he's Jamal Murray in waiting. I just don't think that. And if I can't remember, but I think he got paid a handsome amount, like almost $25 million a year. So if he was getting paid that kind of money, I don't know who's going to take him as a six man coming off the bench with that kind of money. I just don't see it.
That's the thing. Like what you said about what LaMelo goes to. Charlotte is in the in between for me. I don't know with Charlotte. Like, it's obviously a great roster for LaMelo to play with. They're his age. It's kind of like around that timeline. But at the same time, you're like, what is the bench? Do they have a big man? Like, because LaMelo's going to need a big man to, like, make passes to. He's going to need that. Like, that's going to allow for him to get easy assists. Like, LaMelo's interior, like, passing is beautiful. And, like, if he doesn't have that, then he'll be good, though, still. That's why, like, someone like Mitch and LaMelo would be, like, as much as wouldn't like him on the Knicks, I would just love to watch him make a lob.
Oh, man, that pick and roll.
Man. Mitch is the athleticism of that guy. It's crazy.
And speaking of the Knicks, and this is going to be the last thing I say before we close out, but the Knicks got to do right by Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson is their best player, not R.J. Barrett, like most Knicks fans will say. And I'm tired of them saying that. R.J. Barrett has a lot to work on. He is not the young Kobe or whatever they're trying to make him out to be. He still suffers from tunnel vision.
They're calling RJ a point forward. I'm sorry, he's not. I'm not a hater. I think RJ could be like Butler. I see a lot of Butler in RJ if he could get better. But I do not see a point forward where I'm like relying on him to make passes for me.
I didn't watch a lot of Knicks basketball this year, but when I look at RJ, I think Paul George. I think two-way wing could go get a bucket and play really good defense. Now, what I would like to see, and this is not just for RJ, but for in the league in general, I'd like to see more of a post game. I think that's slept on. And just looking at some of the stuff I've seen in the bubble, I could see a lot of teams where they had some actual post players who know how to get down there and bang, where a lot of teams that were losing could have like won more games and maybe have advanced if they had that one good post player or something like that. Like Jason Tatum. I think if Jason Tatum could bang in the post, he would be like really transcendent. But I think RJ needs a post game along with a lot of other players. And yeah, I don't know about the passer. I would have to see. Maybe that's there, but he just never stuck out to me as like a passer. I just never saw that.
And Jay, I'm happy you don't have to watch Knicks basketball because us having to fan over Frank Ntilikina, I'm getting tired of it. There are Frank Ntilikina fans, and that shit annoys me the most, being a Knicks guy.
You know what's funny? I'm actually a fan of Frank. I'm a fan
of Frank, but I'm not like the stands that we have, just like how there's Lonzo.
Got you. Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I wouldn't stand over him, but I think he's a really good player. I think he could be valuable to a lot of teams depending on the team. But yeah, I'm not.
Frank showed me.
I was just saying I'm not delusional.
Yeah, no, there's too many delusional Knicks fans out there. Like Frank is that guy that comes off the bench on a playoff team, gives you great defense. He like the way he locked up Luca. I was like, man, this is a guy who comes off the bench. He can sort of do a little bit of playmaking. He's not greedy with the ball. He plays the right way. He's gonna work on his threes. I think he'll be. He doesn't have to be a great shooter. He's valuable. It'd be stupid for the Knicks to trade him. But I'm not one of these Knicks fans that say do not take or draft a point guard because we have Frank fucking Ntilikina. There's a difference here. No, that is dumb as shit. Or let's not get Chris Paul because we have Frank Ntilikina. I'm like, no, chill, chill, chill. First of all, it makes no sense for the Knicks to get Chris Paul unless they're trying to train somebody to be better as a point guard. But like Frank Ntilikina is not someone I'm avoiding taking a point guard.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that, Gibson. The Knicks got to do what they got to do to field a playoff team. They're in the Eastern Conference. They have a chance to make the playoffs if they do
Kate
this right.
Cunningham. Kate Cunningham.
that boy's. I'm from Texas. Cunningham's from Arlington, but he played at Mount Vernon, in Florida, that big school out there. But he's from Jay Strauss. You from Arlington, right?
I'm from Louisiana, but I live in Arlington right now.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So he's from them neck of the woods. He's a big point guard.
Yeah, he's someone who would automatically go first in this draft, like no questions about it. And I'm a big LaMelo fan, but I would get Kate Cunningham.
Cade Cunningham has more intangibles with the height and weight at the same time, and the athleticism. It's crazy. If he's not number one, because they talking about Jalen Green's number one. I like Jalen Green's game too, but man, you can't pass on no point guard like Cade Cunningham. I mean, that dude's the truth.
Yeah, man. So this is a great convo. I'm gonna go because man, my food is getting cold.
Hey, man, we about to wrap up, but all I gotta say is we gotta do this again. Thank you guys for joining the show. All praise to the Most High. Peace and blessings.
Peace, man.
Peace. Y'all have